Hey guys, thanks for joining, looking at the channel. I haven't posted nothing in quite a while, but I have gotten a few things over the last couple of years. Mainly, we've just done a bunch of woodworking, leather, and we're getting into some other stuff. We wanted to do glass. Going to start getting into some glass. I think basically we're just going to for our business, just going to be wood, leather, and some glass. We should do some hats and some leather, different things. There's a lot of different acrylics coming out that UVs can, I think, do a better job with. So we've recently purchased, kind of like a high Christmas present to me this year, the Hao-tian 10-watt UV. Omni makes a couple of them and all, but I chose to go with the Hao-tian. Been getting some good conversation and service with them, talking with Pascal and a couple other ones. So they do have the 5-watt, the 10-watt, and the 15. I decided to go with the middle of the road because it really, in my opinion, for what we were going to do, is not that much difference between the 10 and the 15. I did purchase the 700 millimeter tower with it. That's an add-on. I chose the 110 lens, the 210, and the 300. To do the 300 lens, you're going to have the extended tower. So we got the extended tower, and the setups are real easy. But for a novice and a beginner, I wanted to do a video. So any other beginner, because all these other videos, they just throw stuff together and okay, here it is, it's done. Well, I wanted to do it different. So the video might be a little long, but I hope you hang in there and I hope you get some benefit out of it. I didn't even get the unpacking, man, that's a waste of time for everybody because this thing, I think me and the wife spent 2 hours getting everything unpackaged and just put up. The stuff that it doesn't come with, like I say, I ordered the 110 lens is on the unit itself. So I got the 210, the 300, and it comes with the automatic riser. So this riser isn't manual, it's automatic. I did order the the rotary with it. This is the D100. Man, if y'all get this thing, I think you could probably engrave wheels with this sucker. It is so big and heavy. I got the 100 basically because to do the 40 ounce, you get a little more clearance with it. But as you can tell, this thing's a beast. And it'll do 90. It'll rotate all the way, stand up. And if you want to put your pen, pencil, rotary piece in it, you can do that. I'll experiment with that later. I ain't getting into all that right now. And then naturally, it comes actually with an extra set of chuck heads. I don't know, I got to figure them out. Don't know what the big purpose of those are. Naturally, your cables. It's got a foot press. The foot press is basically, rather than having to use your computer each time, you do a project, rather than having to go back and hit on your computer, you can just set this right towards, next to the unit, boom, push it, hit it, and then start and go again, and you're set up. All the screws, the mechanics that you're going to need to go with it, they're labeled pretty good. So, you got laser path, which is for your head. It's going to be this item right here. This connects to your base, which we'll look at in a minute. And these are 4 millimeter. They give you all the Allens, but the only things you're really going to use for the setup is the 2 millimeter, 4 millimeter, and the 6 millimeter. And they're all labeled pretty good. Your positioning plate says positioning plate is this plate right here. These are what you're going to use. You got some guides. It comes with some guides. So if you're going to use your guides, as far as putting them in, if you're going to put your spot down, a patch, whatever you're going to use, you square them up. And that's what those are for. And they're labeled for the plate. Your rotary, they gave you screws for your rotary, but the rotary itself comes with some screws also. So, and then your tower. These are your 6 millimeters. You'll use a 6 millimeter wrench on these right here. They gave you two different USB cables. Why, I really don't know. They both appear to be the same length. You got a deluxe and a standard, I guess, high quality. And they give you some business cards to practice with, which is pretty standard. I don't know if I got a use for these, I believe, I'm pretty sure. So, like I say, putting the tower together is pretty simple. It's straightforward. You got 4 bolts, 6mm wrench. The only thing, when I was looking at the tower and the setup for the head, the laser itself, because that's where everything's controlled from. If you turn, you can mount this either way on your base plate. You can either mount it on the right side, or you can turn around, mount it to your left side. Now, you got to remember your head is sitting right here. And if you look at your head, all your connections is in the back of it. You got a 4-pin connection that is for your up and down, your automatic riser. So if I'm mounting to my left, all this is either going to be pulled around over here, or it's going to be pulled around over here, up and down, up and down. To me, I think less strain. I'm mounting it on the right side. All my connections are in the back, and everything's freely moving up and down the back. So I'm just going to throw this together real quick. It won't take but a second. We'll move on to the head, our laser itself. That's where it's going to get tricky and cumbersome. Naturally, you don't want to drop the thing because there's all your money right there. All this stuff is fairly easy to replace. That thing, not so much. Like I said, the video might get just a tad long, and I hope you bear with me and go through it, because somebody that ain't never built one or put one together, you might see some aggravation. It's aggravating. So, like I said, I decided to use the back. Now, if you wanted to, as far as your motorized button switch, if you decide you want to mount it on the unit or leave it to the side, I'm gonna put mine up here, probably somewhere's up here. If you look at the very bottom, they give you those are your mounting screws right there for it, and they'll be a little bit of a pain to work with. So I'm gonna put it on. Painter's tape. Get you a piece of painter's tape, because you're going to decide where you actually want this. And if you're going to slide both these screws up, trying to put it on without any help to hold it up is going to be a pain. So that's going to be the easiest thing to do. And you're just going to loosen it up, put it up there a little bit, help hold your screw out of the way. Now there's your 2mm. That's where your 2mm Allen's going to come in. Just slide this on up here a little bit where I can work with it a little better, because it is kind of aggravating. Better get yourself a pair of needle nose pliers also. We'll go ahead and pull that off. I'm going to tighten the top one just a little bit to help hold it in place. So snug it a little bit. Go ahead and pull our tape back off. This is where you're going to need a pair of pliers, a pair of needle nose. So I do have a regular pair of pliers. We'll just use that. You can't take the cable off to get in there and snug it up. So I could have designed this a little better. Truthfully, if he was standing here, I'd tell him, why didn't you just make the bracket a little wider? You know? I mean, that's all you had to do. It's plastic. Just make the bracket a little wider. That way it'll hold it. You ain't got to fight with it so long. Because there isn't really any room to get your Allen in there. So okay, that's pretty well got it. She ain't going anywhere. Now, this handle, when you get your unit, why they included this, I guess it's basically more or less for the manuals with the cranks, they just included it. It is taped up here to the top. But this is basically what it's for. You don't want to screw it in too much. I just went ahead and put it in there to hold it, to keep it out of the way. I did reach out to a couple other people to find out, hey, what is this real function for? Because these screws right here are spring loaded, you know, and if you've got the crank on it and you want to set it where it's at all the time and it really doesn't move, then you could probably tighten it down from there with that, and it would hold it in place. So like I said, this is going to connect to your laser head. Now mounting this head is going to be a pain. I would suggest getting two people to help you out or somebody to help hold it. If you look at the bottom of it and you flip it over, there's a bunch of holes. So you got to determine where you want your head to be, forward, backwards. Naturally, you want your lens in the center of your bed. So what I done here previously, just a little bit, as far as setting it up there, you can see I put a piece of painter's tape. It's about 2.5 inches off the back. For the simple reason is, let me grab a couple of screws real quick to start with. Laser path. I'm just going to grab a couple to start with. A couple flat washers. Your 4mm Allen. This is what you're going to need for this, is your 4mm. Like I said, if you got an extra hand, it would help you out a lot. But what's going to help is that piece of tape. That way, when you're down here on your knees, because you're going to get on your knees, you can basically just slide the piece of tape up to the bottom, to the back of your plate, and you're pretty close to having your holes in line. Because these are just like machine bolts. If you don't line them up real good, you're going to have a hard time getting it started. I'm going to use the two outside holes furthest away from the tower for a simple reason. I'll try to save you some time and show you why. Rather than putting all your bolts in there to start with. These two bolts I'm putting in, I will snug them up. I'm going to make sure, I'm putting my head all the way to the side as far as it'll go. That way it's square with the unit itself. These are just finger tight for the moment. I'm going to turn this back around. Now, how I determined where I wanted my head for the center of the bed when I put the tape on first to give me something to go by, I took me a couple measurements, basically just to find roughly the center of the head. If you go from your far outside screw hole on your plate to this one over here, you're roughly about 19 and a half, 19 and 3/4 inches. It's going to be the same thing roughly over here. So, that being said, you got an extra lens cap in your package to come with it. So, if I go like this, and I come over here, and I'm roughly looking at the center, which is about right here, I'm back to the other side. So that's giving me pretty much the center of my bed. When I start programming everything and setting it up, and start checking my mirrors to make sure alignment's great, that's the center of my bed. So if you look from the side and from over here, this is pretty much the center. It's giving you pretty much the center of your head right here. Now, once you get it going, you might have to slide it back just a number, but to me, I'm looking at it, that's pretty much the center. You might have to go back and slide it back a button, you know. Level is a big thing with the UV on glass, not so much wood. You know, the Galvos, you see I got the Thunder, we got that last year. That's a horse. That's the 51-130. Man, that thing is cut. You want to make sure everything's level. Got to get it level, especially for the glass. It don't come with a level. I don't have a digital. Maybe I'll get one for Christmas. But anyways, I'm just going to put my level on my bed right here. The bed pretty well it's straight on. Front to back, right to left to right. Now the head, you want to check your head. All right, so the head is a little off from right to left. That's the reason I said only put 2 screws in for right now. Front to back, about as dead on. I'll know more when I get a digital, when Santa Claus comes or one of the kids, but we'll see. So I want to get this as square as I can right now. If anybody's never worked with no machine items or anything like that, it don't take much. I'm going to see what this little business card will do right here. Pretty close. I'm going to say that's about right on. Now, these business cards right here are, let's see what they are. You've got a digital meter, which I'm sure most everybody does. We're going to zero out here. 0.1 millimeters. So I'm only 0.3 out, according to this little level. But like I say, we'll find out more when we get a digital. Now, with those two screws, we're going to back them back out just a little bit. Give us a little room. This is stuff nobody else. I ain't seen anything else in any other videos when I was trying to go through this. This is kind of a little time saving right here. So if you take these cards, we're going to slide them up under the head. All the way to the right. As far back as we can get them. I'll grab that other one in a minute when I chase down the washer. So, there we go. Now that's raised it. That's what raised this whole side up a little bit, rather than trying to loosen your head and move it all around. And we're okay right there. So that's our biggest part. So now we're going to have to connect all this stuff. And if you look at the back of your laser, it gives you your USB, your foot switch, your rotary. This is going to be your connection from back of your head. Now we're connected together there. We're going to come down here. This is a 3-prong. This is your power. So we're going to put our power in here. I'm not going to hook the rotary or the foot switch up right yet, but you can kind of see where that goes. That's going to go there. And you really can't mess them up because of your pin configuration. So we're going to stick this over here to the side. We're getting ready, pretty close to having everything tied together here. We'll go ahead and flip around. You kind of see the back. Zip ties. When you look at the back, your brains here, all this is pretty tight. I mean, you know, it's they need to do some cable management on this myself, because it's everything's just got so much pressure on it. You cannot get them right. Your top for your main piece, and you just got 2 prongs. They're going to slide right under these prongs right here. So messing those up, you know, you still want to be careful. Make sure we're pushed in all the way to start with, and then we'll go ahead and tighten the screws up. The bottom one's a little different now. You're going to want to be careful with the bottom. This is more or less like a serial cable connection. Got all the pins on it. So if you get a pin messed up, there are little pins. So if you bend a pin trying to get in here, you're going to be in bad shape. It's got a little gasket around it right here. I ain't figured out that part so much yet, but I would say it's probably a good idea. I don't know if I like it. If it's going, I'll find out when we get ready to start using it. If it keeps where it doesn't get a good connection, I don't know why they would have really put that on there. We'll know when we get to using it. But as you can tell, like a tower, see what I'm saying. If you put it around to the left over there, then you get all this that's in the front moving up and down and up and down. And another thing, why? Everything is on millimeters. If you look at your gauge on your side, it's in centimeters. Why? Why wouldn't you put it in millimeters? Or your ruler, they send you a ruler that's got centimeters and millimeters. But your head and all, everything is off of millimeters. You got 1 inch on the other side, you're normal, but then you got centimeter and millimeter, and you're working off of millimeters. Why wouldn't you put millimeter on your tower? Pascal, it's a word for you, buddy. I would have put millimeters on there. This little gauge right here, on this side, you got a little flat gauge. On the other side, if you come around and look at this side, is a pointer. Now, if you turn the head around, yeah, I swapped these out. Anyways, with the right side like this, the wider gauge was in the back. It's just 2 screws, Phillips head screwdriver. I took them out, moved them around, and put them in the front. So I'm gonna figure out where a millimeter is as far as head length goes compared to our distance that we want to use, and I'll probably mark that. That way, you'll still use on the side. They've programmed, if you order all your lenses at one time, they'll send you off of your material the height in millimeters that you're supposed to be. So on the 110, it's 245 millimeters. So if you just mark your ruler for 245, then you're going to come down to that line to 245, and then that's where your focal distance is going to be. 414 on the 210, 585 on the 300. So we're almost right there now. Might have to go up just a little bit more. So that's the most of the build right here. Oh, man, they sent some cool glasses too. I'd like some other ones, but fortunately they fit right over my glasses. Superfly. Or Fonzie. Remember Fonzie? Yeah. For y'all that's old enough to remember. So we're pretty close. We're getting there. Then got a couple other little last things to do. Appreciate you hanging in there if you have. If you're getting anything out of it, hit a like, subscribe, because I'm going to come back. The next video up will be going in and setting everything up in Lightburn. I use Lightburn rather than EasyCAD. The hoses they sent us is already cut. Now, I've seen a couple, I think like Alicia with Pate Ranch, they had to cut theirs to the lengths they wanted, but ours are already cut. So that's a pretty good thing. Now with the CO2 lasers, most everybody knows, on your chiller, when you look at your chiller, you have an inlet and an outlet. When you hook up your CO2s, your outlet goes to your inlet side of your CO2, and your outlet comes back to your inlet on your chiller. Now, and then actually don't forget to put your safety in, your alarm, which comes separate in a bag. To be sure to put your alarm in. Just had a little black plug on it. It ships with the chiller, just a little 3-prong. They got push buttons, so you push your blue, push it in. You're gonna pull the little red cap out. Just like that. We're gonna set these to the side because we don't need them. Your laser head, push your button in, pull your caps out. They're just plugs. That's all they are. Gonna pull those out. We're gonna get our tubes. There again, most everybody's probably already know how to do this, but for anybody that's not worked with one, like me, but I've worked around enough stuff to know what I need to do and what not to do. And if you just push them in, they're not going to come out. But like I say, if you've got to put your little release in, it'll come out. But to put them in, you don't need it. They'll shark bite. Push it in there, it's there. The length is what I might have a problem with right here, chiller wise. This chiller is going to go under the stand, desk, table, whatever you want to call it. Probably going to need to give me a tie wrap or two for right here. And probably going to get a tie wrap a little bit more of this down too, because it just hangs. I don't know that I like all the stress that's on it. Zip ties, Pascal, more security. Let's get some of this out of our way. Customs is probably pretty harsh on this stuff. We waited about 35 days to get everything in. When I opened it up, packaging and all was in pretty good shape. FedEx, I was really ticked off with. You know, it's Christmas time. You think they would follow directions about where to leave stuff. I asked them to leave it at the garage door because I couldn't be here. Where's it at? Halfway down the driveway by the road. Christmas time, like somebody ain't going to stop and pick it up, right? So, anyways, real quick. Check these got filters. You pull your cover off, you can clean your filter. All right. They come out real easy. Problem I had was all the filters just shoved up in the side on both sides. So if I hadn't pulled this off just to be inquisitive or take a look, I would have never thought anything about it. So they were just shoved up in here, whether they were installed or not, I don't know. And you just pop it back in. Got 4 little clips. Slide it in because you want to clean them out periodically. One of the reasons I actually was going to take this off to show you is on the front where your power button is, you got a screen that shows your temperature. When I got this out of the box, this tip, it was just kind of like hanging and dangling. It wasn't all the way in. So I kept pushing it up in there, and it just kept falling out. It's going to be real hard to see, but right up inside behind it, we're not going to be able to get in there close enough. If you'll look, there's a little clip on each side. If you push it in and take your finger and push that clip forward, then it will, it's a latch is what it is. Just little fingers. Pull it forward and it will tighten your screen back up, which is all you got to do. So it's, if yours is loose, pull your cover out, stick your finger back up in there, you'll feel it, and just push it forward and it'll tighten down. Back to good as new. That's that. Now, I don't know. Since these supposedly really don't matter, I'm just going to plug them in. Shark bite, they're in. Don't look like they're coming out. I think these are going to use about 1.5 gallons. We're going to find out. I guess I need to put these power cords in real quick. Since this one was in with the lenses, this is going to be for the unit itself. I'm going to come back and put that little tie, that little bread tie back on to keep everything from messing around. But for right now, I don't want to keep y'all any longer because I know you're getting ready. You want to get out of here. The off and on switch is in the back, right behind the power cord. So probably nobody's going to want to use that. I won't. I'll show you why. For the simple reason is I got an emergency stop right here. Turn it right, power comes on, push it in, it turns all the power off. So reach back and forth all the time, I'm probably going to use the emergency, if I had to say. Bread ties, like I say, I'm going to save the bread ties to spruce everything up with. We're getting right there. Now I don't want y'all to have to keep waiting around and waiting around. Like I said, I more or less wanted to do this basically. I'm going to save this part just a minute. I believe, yeah, we can plug it in. Make sure the drain is tight. The drain is tight. All right. I cleaned my funnel earlier. We don't want no trash in our new equipment. So now I did check. Distilled water is what you'd want to use, but I'm going to put regular RV antifreeze in here. Run it into CO2s. You can go to Walmart, just buy the cheap stuff. I think the wife said, would you get this for like $3 and some a gallon last night? So I know it's going to hold the gallon, so I ain't going to worry about that right at the moment. Right at the line where it says full. We'll stay right there. It could have pretty well almost took it. Now the chiller that come with the bad boy here, gallon and a half is all it held. So this chiller is a little bit bigger. That's what they sent with it, so that's what we're going to use. So we'll kick her on. Sounds like she's pumping. Now, it's my understanding from what Robert Kiefer, and I just happened to catch it on one of his videos about it, was saying that your operating temperature had to be up to about 25 degrees Celsius before your laser would kick on and operate. So right now, it's set for 25. We're reading about 14.4. So garage we do have heat and air out here. It is heated. Right now, it's like probably 60 some degrees out here, 66 as it is right now. So I really don't know. We'll just have to check and see where it goes. But we can get it out of the way right now. It added another 16 pounds to it. So there we are. We actually picked this up yesterday. I was at Lowe's buying some lumber to build a bench. I'm going to build a bench for this thing. And the wife, she happened to find one. She said, hey, you need to come look at it. And I thought, well, it's a little deeper than what I wanted. But then after I got to looking at it, man, I got computer work area, the whole 9 yards. So kudos to her. She's done a real good job there. So the chiller's on. We're going to turn the unit on. Let's go back. We'll see what all our basic readings are right here. Hey, we're motorized. What's happening? Looking good so far. So this is the 110. So let's just take our measurement really right here. What'd they say? 110, 245 millimeters. You got a half a millimeter and 1 millimeter, 245. So it'd be 20, 40, 245. We got a long way to go. Pretty fast. We'll just ride her all the way down. Okay, that's it, guys. Till I get the computer out and get it programmed a little bit more. Hey, there's our red dots. So there we go. I should have took my cover off. So this is basically, that's your center. Your dot out, that's your center, and supposedly where are we at right here? Well, I didn't tighten that up well enough. We'll have to edit that part back out. Should have been tighter. Anyways, all right, guys, so you get the gist of it. I appreciate you stopping in if you stayed the whole time. I appreciate it. And I'm going to get set up with the computer and get all the information loaded off the disk that come with it for all the lenses, the 110, 210, and the 300. And then we'll get back on here and we'll make sure we're squared up and go from there. So I appreciate it. Y'all have a great Christmas, and thanks.